Hi, brothers and sisters. Welcome back to Life Changing Moments with Annette. Before we proceed to our next guest, let me say a heartfelt thank you to each and every one of you for your love and support on our channel. And if you are new to our channel, please consider to subscribe. Thank you very much. Dr. Laurence Brock has a Doctorate of Spiritual Science and holds a postgraduate degree in Advanced Ministerial Counseling. He is an ordained minister, a certified Polarity Therapist, and a fully accredited Advanced Biofeedback practitioner. Laurence had a near-death experience following a horrific car accident in 1976. He went into heaven, saw Jesus, and tapped into an all-knowing and loving God. He came to 3 days later spiritually awoke, with abilities to heal, with a strong belief that everything is good and all right, and a new mission in life, to learn more about the spirit realms and healing and to use that to others. For over 35 years, Dr. Brock has had a successful practice as a counselor, energy healer, and spiritual intuit. He says that his journey of learning to heal has been a journey of self-discovery and spiritual awareness. So let's welcome him, Dr. Laurence Brock. Welcome to Life Changing Moments with Annette.
Hi, Annette. Thank you.
So thank you so much for reaching out to our channel.
Oh, yeah, my pleasure.
So you had a near-death experience.
Yes, I did.
Could you tell us more about it?
I can, yes. So I was at a party drinking and doing other things. I was in my early 20s in the 1970s. And, people back then didn't really think twice about drinking and driving. So I remember walking towards the door to leave the party. And then the next thing I remember is I was out of my body, looking down on the car that was smashed. I had obviously fallen asleep and crashed into a tree. And the car was so smashed that you would question that someone even survived in there. Actually was able to go back and see the car after and took a Polaroid picture. That's how long ago it was. But I can't find it. I wish I could. And in the tree, there was this little divot, like nothing, But so I was out of my body, looking down. My body was leaning against a tree, sitting on the ground with my legs straight out. A police officer was crouching over me. This all seemed fine from the place of being in the light. And so it was a very kinesthetic, and even though it happened so many years ago, every time I talk about it, I feel like my words are inadequate in explaining what happened, but it was just like the nicest feeling. I'm a very kinesthetic person, even in my physical body, but it was a feeling and a knowing and a wisdom and a sense of peace, a sense of everything was all right. And even just saying I knew everything, that's not quite it, because in a certain way, saying I knew everything, it'd be like there was a question, but it was kind of like I knew all the answers without even having a question. And so there was the white light. I was in the white light. Behind me, there was a big circle of a different shade of white light. Within that was a silhouette, full body of a being, like, looked like a person. And then there was another, even another shade of white light kind of radiating off of that. How long I was there, I don't know. It just seemed like knowing everything, feeling everything, this incredible love of understanding my family, understanding what was going on in the world, understanding the human situation. The being behind me said, "You have to go back. Your father wants you to stay." When I heard that, I knew that father was God, not my physical father. and I went back into my body and then came to 3 days later in the hospital. My understanding in my mind, so this was in the 1970s. There was no internet. I never heard of a near-death experience. I knew I had this amazingly loving, joyful experience, but did not know what to think about it at all, did not know what to do about it. And I mentioned it to a few people here and there. So at that time, I had been living in Colorado in the western part of the United States, and I had come back to the Northeast to visit my parents, and that's when that happened. And so after I recovered some, well, a couple of things I remember. My dad told me he came in and saw me with my head cracked open, and he could see like the skin pulled back. When I was recovered, the nurse said to me very clearly it was touch and go about whether I was going to live or not. And the neurologist, I remember, so I was talking to the neurologist and my parents, and he looked at me and said, "You're just lucky." And he had this smirk on his face like he did such a good job, and he did, because my head was smashed open and he saved my life. But I recovered a bit. I moved back to Colorado. My mom then convinced me to move back east to the Northeast, and I was in my apartment one day. So I didn't know what to think about this. I mentioned it to very few people. Most people, if I would have, would look at me back in those days like you're crazy. And I was sitting in my apartment one day in Tarrytown, New York, and someone knocks on the door. I open the door. There's this beautiful woman there who said, to me, "I heard some interesting things about you from my sister," and her sister was a good friend of mine in Colorado. And she said, "I know someone who teaches you about what happens after you die." And she introduced me to this spiritual teacher. And until maybe 5 or 6 months ago, I didn't realize how cool it was that this woman just showed up at my door. I wasn't out there looking for any answers. I didn't know what to do about it. And then, so I ended up studying with that spiritual teacher for like 10 years, learning healing techniques, developing what happened. So something that definitely happened in my near-death experience, my hands would become, and still happens, when I touch someone, my hands become warm almost instantly. And my intuition, like I did start to know things about people, but I didn't know what to make of it. And so meeting this man right away, within moments of talking to him, he said, "Oh yeah, you're a sensitive," and basically sensitive to spiritual things. And he taught me how to use my skills, and in a way where I'm really able to use them to help people. It's great.
But before your near-death experience, you never had this, that gift. So you just had it after the near-death experience. And did you knew it right away, or it's just like a coincidence that you met someone and you healed someone? And
It's, again, I wouldn't think of anything like that. So I did have some spiritual experiences before that, and my intuition was more than most people even before that. It just really jumped up a bunch, and the part of my hands getting warm, I didn't know what to make of it. See, again, you're talking about a world now where these are in fictional TV shows. It's all over the place. If something happens, you know about it. I did not know. The only thing I could even think of to compare it to was like the original Star Trek series. And it wasn't like nowadays there are all these fictional, sci-fi metaphysical TV shows, and people kind of assume it's real because it is, but back then it was, no, that's totally science fiction. And so I'm not sure how to answer your question. I mean, there were things in my life kind of nudging me in that direction before that, but something happened where there was no denying it. So I met that woman, showed up at my door. She introduced me to this guy, and he had groups of people in different places in the US. He had groups in other countries too, but I didn't go to them, where there were other people. A lot of them had near-death experiences. We weren't using that phrase back then. So it was kind of fumbling through discovering my skills and learning how to work with people. I had a couple of things happen where I inadvertently, not even really on purpose, helped people. And again, it was kind of showing me what it was.
So you studied, from what I understand, you studied something like spiritual healing or spiritual science or
Yes.
something like that?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
what do you do exactly?
What I do with people is when I work with them, so I almost instantly, sometimes people have to start talking to me first. And someone asked me the
Like
other
me
day,
now.
do they need to tell me what it is? They don't really need to tell me what it is, but a lot of times they need to start talking. So then giving permission inside of them for me to see. And then I see also, there's hundreds, if not thousands of things I could see, but it's kind of like I see, it is almost like a line, like here's the person, here is, at the end of the line is their spiritual fulfillment is the first thing I'm looking for. But along with that comes fulfillment in the physical world. For a lot of times people come to me, they're sick, they've tried every medical thing.
Yeah.
And within there's physical health, there's emotional well-being, there's all these good things. And there are many things that could be blocking them from that. So I see some of that stuff. There's energetic stuff in the body. There's stuff in people's energy field. There are negativity from other people sometimes. There are negative forms in the spirit that get in people's way. There are things from other lifetimes, patterns they have. And then by inviting in the positive spiritual energy, that can come in the form of just energy. It can come in the form of masters and saints and angels and all those things in the spirit that come in and help and then clear those things up. And it kind of connects this really good, wonderful energy that's in each person to this really wonderful energy that's in the spirit. And then cool things happen. Like when this connects, it's like people, you can see their eyes light up, they get a smile on their face, their skin tone can change if there's physical things.
Wow. So what kind of methods do you do when you have like, I would say, like patients like this,
Well, I work over, like Zoom and stuff like that, but
Yeah.
so it is kind of holding an intention. There is, so I've studied many different kinds of healing. So I guess in an essence, you're using the vibration of these different things to heal the person. But there are these beings in spirit that come in and do stuff that's
Really?
kind of beyond what I do and help people. So they bring a certain energy in, and sometimes there could be more medical things or certain, there's this ancient Egyptian master, Imhotep, that
Mhm.
comes in and helps people a lot of times with physical things. I mean, Jesus, the saints, Abraham, those come in sometimes and help people.
Oh, that's very interesting,
It's the
because
coolest thing in the world.
this is a very nice gift of you. I wish I had that gift,
Yeah.
to be able to heal people, helping them. So during the pandemic, you had to do everything through Zoom. So nothing really like they come to your place and do the healing.
No, but sometimes I never have someone come to me, but sometimes people have me go to their home. But I've been actually working online and on the phone for 15 years because I have a 17-year-old daughter, and when she was at a certain age, her mom went back to work, and I decided to work from home then. I used to have an office in Manhattan and one in Connecticut. And it was easy to transition to working online and stuff. And that way I can work with people all over the world, and it's kind of cool.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah,
I am now dealing with I am now becoming more and more spiritual.
great.
And the time that when we were supposed to have this Zoom, I was just like, I have the feeling like there was like some kind of negative energy with me,
Yeah.
not you, huh? I mean, surrounding me. So I was really feeling sick. Can that be that a bad energy can make
Yeah.
me feel sick, or am I absorbing their bad energy? Because this is a very interesting topic, about
Yeah.
being spiritual, because I did not have to go through I did not have to experience near death experience for me to have a spiritual awakening. But since I have that awakening, I seem to be more intuitive. Is normal, right?
Yeah, you'd be more sensitive. And so if something's not right, there is always a spiritual aspect to it. So there are negative energies, um, and there are negative beings like demons and entities are two ones that are usually involved that come, and their job really is to strengthen us and challenge us, but they don't really care about that part. I mean, it's kind of like their spiritual mission is to strengthen us by challenging us, but they get carried away.
So
And but there are ways to clear that. As we become clearer, we feel that stuff more. But there are ways to get rid of that stuff. So there are different levels, and a lot of times, well, always clearing those negative things spiritually helps the person. Sometimes you have to do physical things also. Sometimes you don't. Sometimes just clearing the things spiritually, the person gets better. In most cases, it's more than just like that, but I definitely have had many cases in my career where you clear the thing and the person goes, "Whoa, I'm better." And, sometimes 2 sessions, sometimes people need to stick with it for quite a while to get better, but they almost always feel better right away to a certain extent.
so does how do you call this, the bad energy, can that make you physically sick as well?
Yes.
Not only mentally or but also physically sick.
Yes, definitely.
But if you are like me, I am now growing in my spiritual, like,
Yeah.
how can that how can I get that energy when I am getting stronger as well? So
Yeah.
there's a good energy against the bad energy. So
Well, like I said, the negative powers and the negative things, when they sense someone is growing spiritually, they want to challenge it, first of all. It's also, like I said, when you're clearer, you feel it more. If your energy's all yucked up, you don't even notice it. But as you get clearer, you feel the negative things more. So it's kind of like that statement, to whom much is given, much is expected. So you have to take care of yourself. And that's something I'm a big advocate of. Like, I meditate every day, I do journal writing. Those are probably the two main things. But I do yoga, I do Tai Chi, I exercise, and I do clearing the way I clear people. I can do it some for myself. It's a little harder to do it for yourself because it's kind of designed that way. But you ask for these. I'm actually, in the end of July, I'm going to be teaching a class in Torquay, England, about doing the clearing that I do, and it will be online. But you invite in the spiritual positive powers, and it's kind of like asking them to do it. It's kind of like praying and then opening up. And the other thing, you can use different colors because the colors have vibrations. Forgiveness is really good. It is just inviting this positive energy in, and part of it also is realizing these negative things are not who you are. Like, it comes in and you start to think, "Oh, I'm this, I'm this, I'm this." It's like, no, it's a separate thing. And then you can kind of separate it out, and then the spirit can take it away. Basically, that's a very general way of putting it. But yes. So yes, meditation and journal writing are probably the two got to do
that's
things.
that's what I wanted to ask. Does meditation plays a big role on our spiritual growth?
Yes, and
Because
there are
I
different kinds of meditations. On my YouTube channel, there's this basic soul meditation that's really good, that helps connect and bring in this very nice energy that helps clearing.
I started meditating like a week ago.
Oh,
And
cool.
I just started because until now I was just doing, like I do a lot of praying,
That's
and
good. Praying is
I
good
do
too. Yeah.
also sometimes chanting. Chanting, it's more for me. It's not
Chanting is great. There in that meditation, there's chanting. That's
really
very important. But yeah.
because people would think like, oh, chanting, so you are a Buddhist. For me, it's chanting. For me, is more for my inner consciousness. It's more like activating my chakras, the
Yeah.
six chakras, and I don't really see that as a religion. It's more like a practice. It's for
Yeah.
myself, and believing in myself, believing in the, I don't know, like law of attraction or something like that.
Yeah. No, the chanting helps. It's so again,
Okay.
everything has a frequency to it in the same way the colors do, the sounds do. And the the sound the positive sound and the sound of God is everywhere. And this we by making these sounds, we can connect into that sound of God, and you attract that like, in the same way as describing the energy, it is like you generate this energy in you, you become the instrument, and then you connect into God. Then you kind of surrender the instrument and become the sound. And that's actually a pretty cool way to put it. And then you're in this energy, and it can really bring in this very positive energy and create, enhance your energy together. It's great.
Oh, I am so focused now with your gift, your abilities, because I've been watching your interviews, and I thought, oh, I need to talk to this man because
Okay.
your abilities, and I am now in my spiritual journey.
Yeah, great.
Before I will go back to your near death experience, I would like to ask you one thing as well.
Okay.
Do you do also past life regression? Does it?
I don't do past life regression, but I do see past lives for people a lot when I'm working with them.
Oh,
If so, there's patterns that have started in other lifetimes, and there's part of us that's so committed to learning the lesson, we get a little carried away with it, and there are things we can let go of. We don't need to be doing them anymore, but part of us kind of gets habit of doing this thing over many lifetimes that we can clear up. And that's so I don't do past life regression. I mean, once in a while I have done it, and there's a meditation, but it's the purpose of what I do is healing and spiritual growth and awareness.
okay.
So that is everything. And sometimes people it is really cool to see things, but the seeing the past lives or knowing things about people is not the goal of what I do. The goal is the healing. So if it's in line with that, I can see past lives. I mean, sometimes I know funny little things about people. Sometimes socially, when people find out what I do, they say, "Oh, tell me something about myself." I say, "You don't want me to do that because it's not like I get to choose what I see." And when I'm working, I'm usually seeing the worst parts of people because,
Oh,
well, I always see right away the really good thing about people. And then when I'm working, I'm looking to clear up the bad things. So I see some dark things about people. It could be from their childhood, from other lifetimes, something in their unconscious.
you are just the person that I really need to have a Zoom separately from this Zoom,
Yeah,
because I think I
that's a
I
good
need
idea.
guidance. I'm a little bit confused with the spirit world, and I know what is my purpose here, but I want to deepen myself in that area, and I just want to know what you think.
Yeah.
So maybe we
Well, the
can make.
confusion is kind of part of it. So there's
Oh,
part of, so in our mind, we're always looking to make it compared to something we know on the physical level. So to understand in the spirit, you have to be way more flexible and kind of understand. It's like our mind sees something, it wants to go 10 steps. And, oh, I understand. But in the spirit, you have to kind of hold your mind back and keep letting the stuff come. Well, when it's the good stuff, and then you finally get the information. But our mind would go to, making it something because it wants to know. It's kind of like when someone's listening to you and you say one sentence and oh, I know everything you're going to say, and they don't know what you're going to say
They
because
do.
they're thinking from their reference. So we kind of do that with our mind. We're listening to the spirit, and then our mind wants to go 10 steps ahead. And it's like, well, no, hold it back. And then you can get images and feelings and knowing, and then you might get the information. Like I said, for what I do and what I encourage people, if stuff starts to clear and heal, it doesn't matter if you get the more information. So sometimes getting the information is in a different path than healing. Sometimes getting the information is important for healing, but not always.
I just want to know what is blocking me, what is that?
Well, you have a thing in your solar plexus there that's blocking you. So you can, if you focus, where your ribs come together in the front there, if you focus in there and breathe a little bit, we could see if it'll clear out now. Could see how you feel.
So what do you mean? If
You have a negative thing in your solar plexus there.
Okay, yeah, because I also have, sometimes I just have like anxiety and I cannot breathe. And I
Yeah.
read about your healing. There's also something with the breathing technique.
Yes. For
And
my doctoral treatise, I wrote about a breathing technique that I kind of developed over the years. So that's a really good thing.
that
Again, on
is
my
very
YouTube channel, it's called L Breathing. That would be helpful for
breathing.
you to do.
So I will be writing it down below the link of this video.
Okay, great.
How people can contact you, because I will be your first I'll be your first patient, because this thing is so interesting. And the first time when you contacted me, I was not really aware what you really do. And then I researched more and more, and like, whoa, this is very interesting. I don't only get the near death experience, but all this spiritual world, what I'm also interested in, and I'm learning still.
That's great. And it's always learning. So if you ever think you got it, you didn't. There's always more to learn, and that's another really important thing to keep going. So if you get comfortable, again, our mind comes in and starts to humanize and make it of this world, and then we could, start drifting down without realizing it. So you kind of have to keep going up and keep wanting to learn more, keep being open to getting more blessings and more grace through the spirit. That part's really, that and the not knowing and the meditation and the journal writing, that's really the important things.
One thing I have to ask, you said from your near-death experience, you went you saw your body. Was it more like out of body, or you were really...
I was out of my body. As far as I know, so we went back to ask the doctor and the nurses, and so did my parents. Back in those days, they didn't really tell you things, but from what everyone was basically saying, no one said to me I flatlined. But I mean, the one nurse I remember seeing her saying it to me, it was touch and go. And when the doctor said to me, "You were lucky to make it," basically, he just said, "You're lucky," with this look in his eye. So I don't know. And people have asked me that before. I don't think that really matters, the results of what happened to me. So one of the big changes that happened was I have been on a serious mission to learn about spiritual things since then. And it became part of my life. I just, luckily that woman showed up, and then it's like, so that is the law of attraction in its essence. Like, I didn't do anything. This woman just showed up, and, so I'm always curious about that stuff. Something in me really changed where my spiritual journey has become, such an important part of my life. The other thing I do besides helping people is doing house clearings. That is a similar thing where you just invite I see things, negative energy patterns, sometimes there's people that have passed away that are stuck there and haven't transcended. So you can help, invite in like Jesus or Abraham, Muhammad, all these, saints and stuff, and the archangels, and they can help those people transcend. Sometimes that's what's affecting people also. There's ghosts and, people around them that haven't transcended.
So you believe in those souls that are stuck here on earth, and what are your explanations for that? Isn't it that when we die, we go to heaven? And
Well, in the long term, yes, there's a thing, not one soul will be lost, which is true. But in the spirit, there's not the time like there is here. So if someone takes 10 or 20 lifetimes, that's kind of fine in the spirit. But yeah, I guess you could say I believe it, but I see things. I happen to live near where I live. There are ferries that go to where the World Trade Center used to be. And so in the area that I live in, a lot of people got killed in, you know, 9/11. So there were just a lot of souls around that were kind of lost. And so, yeah, I mean, I see that stuff all the time. So there are ghosts that are around, sometimes affecting people. There are different names. Sometimes it's good to label it specifically because it gives us a certain authority to clear them. Generally, with all those things, the overall idea is to help them connect into God and to complete their spiritual path. Even the negative things, when we can, we want to connect them into God so they can be healed themselves also.
but what is the reason why they're stuck here? Are they confused because of the sudden death?
It is kind of like that, yes. But sometimes people are like that and it wasn't so sudden. They're just, well, in the very big picture, everyone is doing what their soul agreed, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what comes to mind, there was this woman someone asked me about, and she was doing this task, like I don't even know what it was, but she was stuck in the cycle of continuing to do this task. She didn't really realize she was not alive. So she kept doing what she was doing here. And then it was just like, oh, you can go into the light there and introduce her. You call in the saints. It's usually the one they were born into, actually, no matter what their belief is. And then that can help them transcend.
So you see ghosts. You see
Yes.
them.
Yeah, so sometimes it is like seeing them, just like I have a bottle of water here. Sometimes it's like seeing it like this. Sometimes it's like seeing it in your mind's eye. Sometimes it's just knowing it. Sometimes I hear things and I don't really see anything that goes with it.
So this is also an ability that you got from your near-death experience, or you saw already ghosts when you were young?
I saw things when I was young. So before my near-death experience, I was in a movie theater in Manhattan, and I saw my passed away grandfather there. And he was a unique looking guy. There was no way it would have been someone who looked like him. And so that was something I knew that I saw. And sometimes even now, I wonder if I'm seeing dead people walking around and I don't even register it, because sometimes they do look as solid as physical people.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That is that is a nice gift, I must say.
It's a cool thing. And
But
it took some growing to learn how to, because along with that, like you mentioned, as you're growing spiritually, you are very sensitive. So there's a part of learning how to more so as a man, I would think, because men are not supposed to be so sensitive, So, but they're sensitive to people's emotions, to people's thoughts, to all sorts of things, and trying to keep your heart open is a good thing, but then there's a part of you get hurt sometimes. And even just seeing the struggles of the world sometimes, I don't watch the news hardly ever, because just to see sad things is hard. So it is learning and developing, learning the protection, learning how to clear myself, also getting help from other people that do what I do, because I know it is harder to do it for yourself. It's set up that way so you don't just bypass all your karma. If you could go through life and never get hurt, that'd be kind of cool, but then you wouldn't work through the things you're supposed to work through.
So yeah, because and do we have actually karma in as Christian, I did
Yes,
not know that.
everyone has karma.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
But are
the
we
thing in the
aware
different
as
religions is not
Christians that
real.
we get karma back? Because
Well, through a lot, I mean, the thing that Jesus brought in is the forgiveness and the grace. So we can get forgiven, I guess would be a way to put it, but some of our karma can clear. As I said earlier, part of us is very stubborn to learn those lessons that we wanting to do it. But everyone has karma. I've never seen anyone who doesn't. Even the most spiritual people I know, there's just things. I mean, just having a physical body would be karma because it's not like you can, you have to breathe, you have to eat, there's things you have to do, and there's a certain karma. There's good karma, there's bad karma. They're
yeah,
just things that you're kind of born with, whatever. It's funny because I used to say, if you're born a man, that you're stuck. Now that's not the case, but like that would be like the kind of karma you have. If you're born in a certain gender, you have to, that's what it is. I mean, even if you change your gender, that's still something you're kind of born with. And then, those are the kind of things I'm talking about.
oh, there's a lot of things to understand, huh, that our mind cannot even
Yeah.
understand here as a human being. But maybe when we put our energy more, our vibration higher, I think we will be more understanding more things.
Yes, but you also understand that you can understand, and it's a different kind of understanding. We could say it's more understanding in your heart. So things people have in common is the desire for love, the toward love, and feeling safe. And there's certain things that transcend that knowing and understanding. But you get kind of a glimpse of the understanding, and then your mind comes in and wants to make sense of it. That initial glimpse is the real thing. The cool thing about a near-death experience, or any time you kind of let go of your physical body to go out of it,
Yeah.
it leaves some of those physical body things to the side, and then you get to go, oh, wow. And then as soon as you do that, it's like things are so good, I don't even care about those questions. Like that part doesn't matter. And the way that knowing everything wasn't quite it, because that implies there's a question and there's something to know. But there is, I mean, this is very esoteric, but in a certain way, there's nothing to know. And then it's like, oh, then you know everything. So when you can really let that go, you kind of get to the essence of it. And it's so when I'm working with people, you go to that, and then this stuff comes in, and then it's like, how can I make sense of that mentally, but really holding my mind back and letting that part unfold and go, oh, yeah, this person needs to do this, or this is what I need to do with this person to help them to get as close into that unconditional love and unconditional healing and unconditional knowing as possible.
So
Yeah. That was
that's
the second thing I said. Well, that was a great way to say that, because that was really a good way to describe it. That was very cool.
yeah. Thank you for saying that. Yeah. You mentioned in your near-death experience that you knew that father, when they said you have to go back to your father, you knew that it was God.
Yes.
So why you did not go there? Why you went back to you
That
did
is a
not
good
have a choice?
I didn't know if I had a choice. I didn't think of that. Nowadays people ask that. I go, I wonder. I didn't, it just seemed like it's not like everything just seemed good in the light. Everything seemed good everywhere. So it was like, oh yeah, I'm going to go back. Like it just is what made sense.
Okay.
I don't know. Sometimes I wonder about that. But I assume that they're saying I was supposed to be here and go through this journey. I mean, have a beautiful daughter since then, who's, I love so much, and uh, you know, there are the trials and tribulations of the world, but there's a lot of incredibly beautiful, wonderful things and people and experiences. It's so great. So
I
I'd
think
like to.
the world is beautiful. It depends how we see that.
A lot of it is, yeah. It's and yes, well, it is hard to see some of the things that go on in the world as beautiful and right, but
Yeah.
from that very high place, you can kind of see it, but when you're in your body, it's hard to see, someone being killed or sexually molested in any way, like how that, and those things are not good in any way, but there's a certain sense when you look at people's karma about why things happen. And I don't even like to talk to people about that, because then they start to feel like it's their fault, and it's not. It's it's kind of like when you watch little kids play a game and they're mimicking adults and they don't really know what they're doing. That's what it's kind of like when you look at things from the spirit and look at people. It's like they're playing a game, they just don't know really how to do it. So it's kind of that part's hard. It's just hard when there's things that we consider bad in the world that happen.
I'm sorry if I'm always asking so many things. You
No,
just have
that's
so
good.
much
That's
knowledge that I want to use that, and I want to gain knowledge from what you know.
Yeah, definitely. That's good.
Yes, like the spirit world. It's just. I don't know. I know that it's not a coincidence meeting you like this.
Yeah.
Because I'm really
Well,
deeply
that you
learning.
know that you don't know, that's a really good thing. So when you can get to that place of I don't know,
Yeah.
that's the beginning of being open to learning. Okay. And
Okay.
again, if you watch your mind instead of trying to jump ahead steps, it's like you hold back and you just let your mind sit there and you see what you see, you feel what you feel, you know what you know, and then you just stay with it. You don't try to jump to conclusions, and then you kind of get a sense of what it is, and even then it could just be a sense of it. Okay. But that's kind of the process of holding your mind back and letting things unfold, and then understand that within everything is a message of learning and a message of loving that is there in all things.
It's all about love at the end, huh?
It definitely is.
It's all about
Everything,
love.
every motivation, everything is about love. Yes.
Oh. Dr. Brock, very, very nice to have you here.
My
I
pleasure.
am I'm blessed to have met you, and someone who knows these things. I'm very interested. So you are not yet done with me. I will still
Okay,
contact you.
that sounds great.
And I will put your link from your website. You have your own website, right? And you
Yeah,
also
my
have
website.
Facebook
I have YouTube. I also have TikTok, which is
Yes,
the
I
one
will.
kind of cutest.
I will
Doc Brock
write
at
it down.
TikTok. Yeah.
You help me. I'm learning from what you said now, and I
good.
find it interesting. And I'm so grateful for having you here and for reaching out.
I'm glad I did too. This is a good interview.
Yeah,
You're
we
asking
talk
good
about.
questions. Your curiosity is great, and that's
Yes,
really
I think this interview, I saw also some of your interviews, and this is more like a little bit like mixed salad, because I'm going here, I'm going there. It's just like
yeah.
when I remember something, I have to ask, otherwise I forget.
Yeah.
That is my problem, and everything that
No,
I
it's
know.
good. That's what you want to do. You want to be in the moment and go with it. That's just real important. That's a trick of being able to think on your feet when you're doing the interview.
Yeah, because maybe guests would, the viewers would also have thought about those things, and they will say, oh, I'm glad that you asked that.
Definitely.
Because we were not there to interview you, so.
Well, interestingly,
more like your answer.
Yeah. Well, a few months ago, something happened, and it was kind of like, man, why is it taking me so long? And I was kind of taught everything in that near-death experience. It just taken all this time, and I know there's more to go for my mind to get it. So I meditate pretty much every day since, way back then, and there's part of it of it's not requieting your mind, but it's kind of realizing that you don't know anything. And then you go to this place, and I don't know how many months ago, but all of a sudden it was like I like talking about my near death experience a lot because I connect into it. And then it's like, I just got this thing that the white circle and the being behind me and the white light was a whole new learning. And I really did say to myself, man, they showed me that back then, and I didn't get it until now. And it was like a whole new level of being able to meditate in a better way. And I know in however many years I'll get it again, like, oh man, it was right there. I didn't get that, you know. So it is keep going. It is understanding our mind understands in a limited way compared to our heart and our soul. And so we get it in that. So what did I learn? I've studied different religions. I've studied many different healing techniques and from many different people. And I just keep learning and learning.
So life is full of learning. It's all about learning experience, and we can
It
always
is.
learn. We can and and the lessons we get from it. How we use that. In a
Yeah.
negative way or in a positive way.
Yes, that's very important. Yeah, so yes, everyone has this great thing in them and it comes in different positive qualities. And when you can do good things in the world, and that could be a job, ideally it is a job where you can make money doing something you're really passionate about. And or parenting is, there are so
It's
many good things you can do in the world, help people, but take care of yourself also. That's because you're one of the people too. Sometimes there's people that are givers and they end up draining themselves, but you got to give to yourself, take care of yourself, and help people, but don't do it to your own detriment. That's really
Yeah.
important.
That was me before. Keep on
Yeah,
helping, and then I
me
was
too.
all drained, no more energy because people were. I was like getting their bad energy somehow. So
Yeah, well, that happens. So that's part of it. So I don't think there's any way for that not to happen. And
okay,
if it's kind of like here's a line, and over here is you don't pick up anyone's energy, here it is, but it's you want to try to come right to this line to help people. But if you're being so careful, you're going to stay over here. You're not doing as much as you can to help people. So there is risk, and it's also has to do with your karma. Like if usually when you take stuff on, it's because there's something you have an opening there, and so it's you got to do it. One time I was working with a woman who was a nurse, and she said, "How do I?" And nurses are a good example because a lot of times compared to the negative energy, like in a hospital nurse, there's so much negative energy there, and they can go to work and not take so much stuff on. And that's nurses are probably better at that than doctors, to tell you the truth. And but so this woman said, how do I not take anything on? I go, unless you're going to lock yourself in a closet at work every day, you're going to take stuff on. So, but you got to learn to do the things to clear yourself. And then way you exercise to stay healthy, you don't expect to learn things without studying. You don't expect to have muscles without exercising.
yeah.
It's the same thing. You do the spiritual exercises to keep yourself happy and healthy spiritually. It's just the way life is. Yes.
Oh, that's nice. I happen to work in the hospital too.
Oh, wow.
Back then in Switzerland, and I was always bringing everything home. So this sad thing I see from the patients, and I was always. I
Yeah.
was always sad if someone had to go or sick, and I think I saw so many negative things that I also became very sick that time.
Yeah. Well,
But
there's one simple thing you can do is just visualize that stuff and just imagine it leaving your body, going to heaven. That's a simple thing that does work some.
okay, that's a good advice. Thank you so much. How can we achieve a higher spiritual level without having to go through near-death experience? So you
Well, it's definitely possible. So finding someone to help you is really important. My near-death experience was a big thing, and I've had big things without that. But a lot of the really big things in my life were studying with people who knew more than me, and it just saves a lot of work. I can tell you that. So the meditation is really important. Journal writing, those are probably the two things. Take care of your body, do good things, take care of your family, do volunteer work, all the things that are considered being a good Christian, whatever religion you're in. And
So thank you so much, Dr. Brock.
You're welcome. Yeah, it's nice talking to you. Your excitement is contagious, and that's what I like, people getting excited about these wonderful spiritual messages that are so important that the world live that way. It's really a great thing. And yes, like I said, being of service in that way can help you grow spiritually. And so, yeah, doing those good things, you grow spiritually more than you're even aware of. So just helping
Yeah.
people, when you see someone in need, you do that again, but you got to take care of yourself. It's not like put yourself in harm's way, do that, but a lot of times you can help people. Sometimes the simplest thing of smiling at someone or just understanding, you can pray for them. Those little things really mean a lot in the spirit. Definitely.
Oh, thank you for your advices. Thank you
You're
so
welcome.
much. I'm sorry, but I think we have to end this. Otherwise,
Okay.
I can keep talking and talking and talking. My editor told me already, Marionette, she edits everything, and then she's always saying, I talk too much. I talk too much. And I said, yeah, because I'm very curious and I'm so
Yeah.
interested. And she said, yeah, I just have to learn how to be, so
Well, yeah, you gotta, the enthusiasm is good. That part's good. And yeah, you're actually pretty good. Some people interview me, it's almost like I have to struggle with them to get a word in. At least when I start talking with you, you're listening, and that part's really good. That's the most important thing.
Of course, I don't want to disturb you because it's not nice to interrupt you. But because of I'm so excited somehow.
Yeah.
I'm just like, it's not being mean. It's not like that. I'm just very, like you said, enthusiastic.
Yeah. That's a good thing. And being real and being yourself, that's what people want to see.
Yes. I am really being myself. Yes.
That's important. Yeah, that's what I like to do. Someone said to me a while ago, who ended up interviewing me, because when I'm talking about things, it's not so polished, let's say. I do know what I'm talking about, but I want to be genuine, so it's not like I have memorized ways to say things. And the person said, when I first saw that you is like, what, like this, and then something got her to listen more, and she goes, wow, he's the real thing. And but it is being genuine and real, and not, and even with the spirit, the thing of, like I said, of not knowing, if you start thinking, you get that like in a habit, and then that's not, because the habit goes this way, and really we want to keep going up and up, and we can only go up when we realize we don't know, so then there's more to learn. So then you learn that, and then, I'm open. I don't know. I want to know more, and then you go up another level like that.
Oh.
So that's the part of being genuine. You say what comes up for you, and that part's really important.
So I promise now, I will say now goodbye. So
okay, goodbye. It's
Dr.
good to be
Brock,
here.
Thank you so much. And such a pleasure to have you here. Really, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. It was a very fun and spontaneous interview.
It was great. Yeah,
great.
I like your energy and your style. It's really good. And yeah, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
I will. Can I contact you then later?
Yeah, definitely. It would be good.